Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hollywood Experience, where we talk to a lot of different people, actors, directors, showrunners, stunt performers, martial artists, etc., to get their take on what it's like to be in the movies. And with me this week is Ethan Detmeyer, who is in some unknown location. We have this joke every time we talk about on our other podcast, the Peace Fund Radio. We're in an undisclosed location.
I know we do say that. It's been a joke. I mean, we know where everyone is, but it just sounds so ridiculous that you can't help but say
it. But anyway, I want to get to the interview we had with Sylvester McCoy, because he's always a pleasure, and we'll get to that right now, and we'll be right back after we've heard a few of his dulcet tones grace the airways, shall we say. So take it away, Sylvester. Okay, everybody, we're here today at where are we? We're at the convention in Olympia, isn't it?
Olympia, London, England, Europe, UK, world, the universe.
Yes, exactly. I think it's a wonder, and I've run into Sylvester McCoy, who we met in 2010, wasn't it? At the Australia New Zealand con.
Yes,
I think that was when we first met.
We might, yeah, I think so. Yeah. It was a while back now.
Yeah, it was. Actually, I was talking to the lady over there, and she said, "Oh, Sylvester, he loves kids because he does this thing with his hat, and he drops it, and makes them laugh. Spends a lot of time with the kids." And I said, "I think he did that with my daughter."
Oh, did
I? Yeah. So when my daughter was like, I think she was like 2 or 3 at the time.
Yeah.
And you were doing that, and I thought you were fabulous on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I forgot to do that. I could have done that with that little girl who's crying now in the background.
So listen, you've been acting since what, 1980s, 1970s?
1969.
69.
October 1969.
So, do you think the business has changed in this time?
Yeah, dramatically, really, because of technology more than anything else. Yeah.
Do you think it's better or worse or the same or added to? Or?
I mean, in some ways it's great. I mean, with Netflix and the streaming shows, that's really good. More work for actors because they're making many more shows. As far as technology is concerned, I think in the old days when they built real sets rather than relying on CGI
and stuff.
Because my series of Doctor Who, some of the stuff we had was really ropey, but some of it was really good. Whereas now you can always tell it's CGI. I mean, in those days, they used to blow me up, for real. Now,
I know the feeling.
Do you know what I mean?
I know the feeling.
And also, I mean, you were acting, I mean, you could feel the heat behind you as they blew you up and you dived. And that was for real. Whereas now you have to pretend to do it and then they
put the
CGI in
later.
later.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same thing when I was doing Highlander. I mean, I literally, when I do quickenings, I'd have embers going in my mouth and things blowing up behind me, getting hit occasionally by the odd fragment, which kind of gets dangerous sometimes.
It does get dangerous, but it also gives you the adrenaline kick.
Do you think that, you've done a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
I saw you did Dracula at one point, is that, do you remember
Yes,
that?
That's right, with Frank Langella and Laurence Olivier and Donald Pleasance way back.
Yeah, what was that like? Was there any sort of like action in that type of Dracula? Because sometimes they have all the diving and the biting.
Yeah, there was. I mean, Dracula flying through windows and stuff like that, having sucked, Kate Nelligan, I think, who played Lucy, and he'd fly through windows, climb up walls. I had to. That was my very first film. I'd never done film in my life before. And they gave me a blunderbuss, and they said,
"Oh gosh!"
So Dracula's just gone through that window. Shoot at him. So it was a fixed shot. So I shot at him, and then with the force of the blunderbuss, I threw myself backwards out of the shot. And the director said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I do comedy." I said, "No, we don't want comedy."
Hi, Sylvester.
"Hello, how are you? You look great. Terrific to see you."
I did a lot for the charity over there.
Oh, good. Well done.
But my wrist was like...
Oh, yeah, with signing. Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
But it's great to do some acting again and performing.
Yeah, it is. It's good to be up and running again, yeah.
And I made the costume myself.
Oh, did you? It's a great costume. Yeah.
Nice to see you again.
And you, cheers.
Keep
Look after yourself.
well.
And you. Bye-bye. So, yeah.
That's okay.
Anyway, I'm John Badham. John Badham was the director. And then later on, We went to Donald Pleasance for New Year's Eve, and John Badham got drunk, and he came up to me in the party and said, "Listen, Sylvester, I'm going to take all those bit I've cut out of you of this film and stick them back in it and make it a comedy." And then I woke up the next day and realised I'd lost, my part had been shrunk. Because they didn't really direct me. They just said action, and I did comedy action.
So that wasn't quite what they were looking for.
No, they told me that afterwards, not before.
So what you did you mentioned the Doctor a minute ago. You did the Doctor. Was the first time? Was it 87 to 89 you did the Doctor?
87, 89, yeah.
Yeah. So what was that like? I mean, going into this series that was kind of iconic, it was beginning to grow at that point, wasn't it?
It was. Luckily I was ignorant, because being an actor, especially a British actor, we work in the theatre a lot. So you never see television.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't seen television, Doctor Who since the early days of Tom Baker. And so I'd lost touch with it. So I entered it with ignorance. And also I think, luckily, the script editor was Canadian. He didn't know much about it either. So we were given the key to the TARDIS. The producer by then didn't really want to do it anymore. And so we entered it with ignorance. And later on, people have said to us that we'd changed it. We'd rounded it more. I made it darker, more mysterious, because I thought that's what it should be. So it was luckily. Otherwise, I might have been carrying baggage from the back.
Right, yeah.
And there were rules already set, and we broke them.
It's funny because I talk about that and other things, that sometimes not having that information actually gives you a clean slate to create something new.
Exactly.
People turned around to me and said, when you did Highlander, hold on, let me pause this for a second. What I was saying, we're going to have to cut this short probably because we got this stuff going on. But the Highlander basically had the same issue. I was going to go in and do Connor McLeod. Instead, I was able to do Duncan McLeod, which cleaned the slate. I didn't have to look at what everything else had gone by already in the background. So I think it was easier to play that and create new stuff.
Yeah. No, it is. It was. We were lucky. We were ignorant.
Did you do any stunt stuff during Doctor?
Yeah, I did. Our stuntman was Tip Tipping, who was about my size. Dear Tip Tipping, sadly, who died in an accident, a helicopter.
I think I heard that was one of the things I read about.
Yeah.
People believe, nothing happens in the movies; it's all stunt. But things do happen.
I know, but he was very annoyed at me because I kept wanting to do my own stuff.
How old were you then, if you don't mind me asking?
Let me see.
In your 30s?
30s, yes. Yeah, my son's. God, I can't remember. Yes, I was in my 30s. Yeah.
I mean, because you're still able to do it in their 30s.
Yeah.
40s, they're still kinda, and then 50s, they're like that. Don't do it anymore.
No way.
Don't do it anymore.
Now I need Stuntman just to go up the stairs.
So listen, everybody, if we're getting very loud, I might have to change venues or cut this short because, as you can hear, we got a cosplay going on in the background. But I want to talk quickly about The Hobbit.
I'm in The Hobbit,
I know that. Yeah, funny that. I think. Did you have to do anything fun in The Hobbit? What was the most funnest thing you did in The Hobbit?
Well, I suppose it was actually riding on the sledge, being pulled by all the rabbits. It was like being on a fun fair. It was great fun. They were dragged around all over the place by 12 men in green pretending to be rabbits. That was good fun.
There wasn't any accidents or anything on that, because I mean, even with something simple like that, we've been pulled on a sled. Sometimes a sled falls over, or something stupid. It's really
actually,
funny.
There was an accident. We were in a green room, a green screen, and there was a man in green, and they put it on a big rubber ring, the sled, covered in green, and they put me on it. So they wanted to, shoot me close up, and they were rocking it. So I was hanging on, and they were rocking it, and the camera, and then the cameraman couldn't get low enough because the padding on the floor under the green. So they took the padding away to get the camera lower, and then we did that shot, and then we went on to the next shot, and then I was asked to do a double take really quickly, and I did big one, bigger, and I flew off backwards. And of course I landed on the concrete, and the padding was no longer on the concrete
anymore.
And my bum hit the concrete, and then my head, it was everything in slow motion. It started to hit the concrete. I felt my brain moving inside it, but luckily, in being in New Zealand where they play rugby, there was a guy, one of the guys, the technicians, dived like a rugby player and caught my head before
really?
It took the whole force. Otherwise, I might have been knocked out.
Have you ever been hurt doing anything filming?
Oh yeah, I've been hurt. Yeah.
What?
I used to set light to my head. My name is Sylvester McCoy, the human bomb. I used to explode a bomb in my chest, blow fire, and set light to my head. Now, the setting light to the head, it was a funnel, chimney, and you show the chimney. There's nothing there. But in the chimney, there was a hidden flap, and on the flap was the liquid that burnt. Right. They'd set fire to the liquid, and it would blaze, and then that was it. It looked as if I'd set light to my head. But one night we did it, and the guy who was supposed to do it had been drinking, and he forgot to put the flap down, so he set light to my head. Oh, no. And he actually set light to my own hair.
Oh, no.
Yes, but luckily we got it out in time.
Oh no!
I didn't have to have a haircut.
And hair goes up really quick.
I know it was.
It just disappears. It happened to me in a bar one time. A woman standing there, she leans back behind to the candle.
Yeah.
And her hair. I'm standing. She's got her back to me.
Yeah.
And her hair goes. She goes, and I went bang bang. She goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Your hair's on fire."
Yeah. Saving your life. Yeah.
So what about anything? I mean, the last. Lord Protector was another thing you did. That's lately, isn't it? Was that?
Oh, that was this on the what's it called? Zapped. Yes, that was called Zapped. I was the Lord Protector of Zapped.
Were you a bad guy? Do you like playing a bad guy?
Oh yes, no, I did. I did a film called The Owners with Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones and Rita Tushingham, who was very big in the 60s and 70s, an iconic actress who has just come back into acting. And I play a really bad villain in that.
Do you think it's easier playing a villain than it is a good guy?
I don't know. I think it's more fun playing a villain.
It is,
than a
isn't
good
it?
guy.
Personally, I find it more fun because you can do whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
And
I quite like But this was a psychological thriller, so it had to be. You're not supposed to realise I'm a villain. I'm supposed to be. You sympathise with me. But then the worm turns through. It's called The Owners.
The Owners. All right. Last question. Out of all the things you've done, what's your favourite? Actually, two questions. What's your favourite out of all the things you've done?
But it's difficult.
I know it is. When you've done a whole body of work like you have, it's entirely different.
It's also, as an actor, you fall in love with the part you're playing.
Yeah.
But you're not a constant lover, really. As soon as you leave that part, you put that part aside and go on to the next one and fall in love with that.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. And also, there's a part of you that leaves your heart with each part you've ever played, so you don't want to betray it by not picking it.
What do you think's the one? What do you think's the one that's affected you the most? Because people have asked me.
Doctor Who, really.
Doctor Who, really. The first one, because you've done several. You did several.
Yeah.
Was it the first one that really kind of affected you, changed you in a sense?
In a way, although An Evening with Sylvester McCoy, the Human Bomb, did, because that was that made me notorious in Britain. We toured all over Britain and Europe and all that places, and I became known from that, and then I got television work from it. So that was the one that really
got you.
Set me on my incredibly exciting path. Really, great fun I've had. Well, like you as well, I should imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There are certain ones that really kind of change you, and they do something, and you go, oh my gosh, it makes you An acting teacher said to me once, he said, as you change as an actor, you change as a human being.
Yeah.
And as you change as a human being, you change as an actor. And I think
wow,
it's
that's
very
interesting,
true.
yeah.
It's a really interesting analogy, I think.
Yeah.
But I do think it does, we are storytellers.
Yeah, that's it.
But we also pull from real life, and a lot of time when you do research on different characters, you're finding information that kind of affect you personally.
Yeah.
So I think it's a different thing.
Yeah, because I played Buster Keaton and I played Stan Laurel, and I've researched them deeply.
Right.
And, by the time I'd done it and performed it, I nearly was Stan Laurel and I nearly was Buster Keaton.
I could see you as Stan Laurel, definitely.
I really enjoyed doing that. But it is interesting. I did play an evil part of a guy who's still in prison, who kidnapped an estate agent girl and locked her up in a wheelie bin, and it was a kind of weird, dark part that I hated doing. But at the same time, I loved doing it because when I hated it, I knew I'd got it right.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I played a serial killer, and I did all the research on it and all that, and then doing it, I'm like, I kind of like it, and I kind of don't.
Exactly.
The things you have to go to, the dark places you have to go to, it kind of draws on different things, doesn't it? Because
because That's the problem, is they are all insiders. You know, all human beings have the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah.
And, you know, as actors, you delve in there and hopefully you can put it back again when you're finished with it.